How did you feel on the first day of the set?
Films in Bombay, that's a market. The word is not ideal. Like copies get sold, artists get sold only with networking. You need to market yourself. You're still learning to just network. It's not easy.
Or there's a downside to it, or there is something that you would like to change?
Just playing a star would not make you survive.
Let's talk about the change that's come into the film industry.
और यहाँ से निकल कर तुम स्टार बनने वाले हैं.
Very important takeaway from this is like Tirrtha said that a lot of our important decisions are emotional, have to be emotional, because that is a sure sign of their success. Once it's emotionally taken, a lot of times, especially as students, we are told to like measure the pros and cons, consider everything in the future, ask 10 different people, take advice, and so on. What about support from the family? Do you have a lot of support from the family? Because film is a line or a career path which is a little unorthodox. Everyone is thinking of engineers, doctors, civil servants, but to be an actress, it's really unorthodox. So how did you convince people back home about it?
So my mother was very apprehensive, and because we lived in Bombay, she knew of people around. In fact, she'd also done like a couple of plays. So she had seen people around her who were actors and knew that it was not going to be an easy journey. Because it meant giving up all that you really have and everything that's expected of you is not ordinary. But she also knew that once I had set my mind to it, she had just two choices. One is that she either aligns with my choices or I follow. And so I think it was tricky for them too, and they decided to support me. So they have been very practically supportive, even when they did not really want to direct me in this direction. At some point in time, they decided to because they knew that I could. At the same time, that they should. So I think that was a great parenting exercise on their part.
Yeah, so there's this willfulness and this emotional attachment to this whole idea of being in films and being able to emote, and like you were saying, example of looking at someone at the radio station, emoting, his character back to it was kind of journalism, but inactive journalism, wonderful term.
Yeah.
How was your life at college? Because FTII to a lot of us is an aspirational place, a lot of students would like to be there. It's known for producing such quality talent for the whole country, for the film industry of not just the Hindi film industry, but also so many other languages. So, how was your life on campus? What is it that you remember most?
This has been like the best journey of my life, and anybody who has learned in FTII will tell you the same thing, because it gives you such a vast breeding ground for your creative germs. And there are two things, if I must really put it down into like a precise form. One thing that I learned was self-observation. So, art cannot be really taught unless you dive into yourself and start observing yourself. So, the teaching or the learning for me mostly has been about observing myself doing everything that I'm doing. So, like while I'm talking right now, I know my right hand is moving every time, every word that I speak. And being able to observe that, reflect on it constantly, because it can tomorrow just become your scene. So whichever situation I am in, there are days where you take impulsive decisions, but to be able to be observant enough to observe those impulses, to know how I feel when it's an impulse, and recreate it when I'm acting it, makes you another person. I think it does take away some sort of spontaneity from your life, but also it's a different kind of training. So FTII firstly taught me to observe myself.
Because the devil is in the details, you just.
Yes, it's in the details. And like for example, as much as if my breath becomes faster when I'm speaking something, the other person knows that I'm suddenly getting excited. So just to observe these details in our lives and then be able to recreate them when we are acting was one very important lesson that I learned. And the second one, very importantly, is the conditioning. Because we are such the beings of conditioning. Everything that we do is out of our conditioning. When you go to FTII, what it really does, at least the acting board, what it does, it strips you off that conditioning. If you have any powers, any flaws of any conditioning that you're coming from, it helps you question them, it helps you get rid of them, it helps you come down to a zero and then now see the world differently. So then it tells you that there is no good, there is no evil. There is just a character, there is just a story, there is just a perspective. And it's the situation that really colors it into a god or an evil.
Excellent. I think that's a wonderful explanation of a student who's observing so much. And I also think it's true for our media and communication students because film acting, film direction, or anything connected with films is like the pinnacle of communication. Every form of communication that you prepare yourself, be it marketing or advertising, films brings everything together. It's art and science of communication both. And to be able to observe yourself very deeply is one big takeaway for an actor and any kind of communicator facing the camera to be able to do that. So let's move on a bit further to your first film. First film was not in a language that you are sort of a native speaker of. It's a Telugu film.
Yeah.
So tell us what was your experience of first getting the film and the other, how did you feel on the first day of the set?
So I passed out from FTII and when we left, we were senior acting students who were leaving the institute. So I thought, yahan se nikal ke tum star bane wale. You know, that's the kind of notion you move out of. And when you actually dive into the world of films in Bombay or wherever you go, you realize that that's a market. And to become a star, first you need to get counted. So it does take time. And some people are lucky to get their first film soon, but I did not. So the first 6 months for me was really a struggle to understand कि कैसे हुआ है. So and
I talk to us about the process of auditioning. How good or does it break down your ego or does it make you really like your self-worth is counted in the process?
this is, initially you're doing 100 auditions in a month. And you don't get your first job till the 6th month. So you see the ratio. I would not even like to calculate the ratio. It's that bad. But also just understanding this that apart from the competition, there's something else that people are looking at. And it's not acting, it's not how you look. It really is your intention to get that job. And how strongly you feel, how confident you think you can make it happen. People are looking at that, if I use the word Hindi word Jazba,
Jazba.
जो कैमरा में दिखाई दे जाता है किसी का. I think that is what counts. And initially you won't know it, but gradually I've now come to understand that people are looking for that spark. And that spark is that Jazba. So for a long time I just went for auditions trying to look all dolled up and pretty for camera. Which
More technical because I mean that is what your training has been, yeah.
No, actually the training was never. I wish they had trained us to give auditions. We were just trained to become good actors, and that was ideal. But the world is not ideal. So when you get into the real world, how do you market yourself? Now there is Instagram, but if you're going to be an actor who thinks कि मैंने FTI किया हुआ है and I'm a good actor, somebody will see my audition and they will ask me, no, it's not going to happen like that. So your portfolio has to be impactful. Your audition obviously has to be impactful. You need to know the basics of acting, that is like for sure. And that whether you're a good actor or not, anybody who's watching the audition will tell you in 1 minute. So those basics have to be correct. But networking. It's the worst thing I think for an artist and especially an introverted artist. It's the worst thing, but it's the most important thing, Whether you're an artist, whether you're a communication person, whether you're a writer, like copies get sold, artists get sold only with networking. with face value, with repetitive value. You see somebody today, you meet them again tomorrow, you remind them of that meeting.
Plus, there is also, I think, when you are a senior person in the game, when we've been in the industry for a long time, you also realize there is something called strategic networking. You meet people or directors or, casting people who are your kind of people. So you kind of begin to identify your tribe in the industry.
Yes, and you cannot really appeal to all kinds of people also at the same time. So, yes, you need to identify the people who you would like to work with and they may like you. And now that you have identified them, then the job is to be reminding them of you, which is something that most people initially will not do. We shy away from doing. It's not an ego issue so much, but you are shy, you don't know how to put yourself out there. But there is no space for shyness in this world anymore. So just go out there, put yourself there, and don't hold back because you only waste time. So yes, then this happened, and all of this learning. I'm still learning, guys. Honestly, I've been out there 12 years, and I'm still learning to just network. It's not easy. Somehow, but so after the 6 months, I asked my parents. I said, "Listen, please give me these 6 months. I make sure I get myself a job to just call myself an actor." And then this film came up. It was a Telugu film. So Sunil Kumar Reddy directed this film. He also written it. He was an ex-journalist. So his sensibilities were different. He was making a film on special economics. This film called Sampu. And thankfully he went to FTII and he was looking for actors, fresh faces to act as a protagonist in his film. And he had seen my diploma. So I was part of a couple of diplomas, very few actually, and he had liked my partner. And that's how he came to Bombay and met me again. So
is this also the film for which you got an award?
Yes.
Yeah, the first film.
Yeah, that's the
So what was your role in this film? What was it that got you? Because it's difficult to get an award for your first film. You got it there. Especially in a language you were not acquainted with and didn't know how to move in that language. How did you get an award in the first film itself?
So Mali's character, the one that I played, was very beautifully written. And from what I understood of it, well, prostitute. She was a prostitute, to say it like that, but it was very layered in the sense that she was a free-willed prostitute. And so she practiced in her own house, in that particular village. And she very Sina taan kar keh rahi thi कि listen, I am the reason why there are no rapes happening in this village. So if I'm not there, where will you relax yourself? There are these kind of lines which can sound crass, but when I read it, I realized that this is something else. It's going to change how people think about prostitution. And it changed my opinion as well, actually. Until that time, I remember I used to myself have a certain kind of, there was stigma associated with prostitution. But it converted me into somebody who started thinking that maybe it needs legalization, maybe they need their own rights, because they are serving certain kind of purpose. There is some kind of service associated with prostitution. So it initiated a dialogue in my head, and that's what interested me in it. And because I had this approach, money became different.
It's very interesting because a lot of times people outside the industry think that an acting profession or an actor's job is very technical. We go into the scene, read the lines in a note. But an actor is also an artist. So an artist is also, it's work in progress. His or her life is work in progress. And through the actors, through the scripts, through the film that you do, or the choices that you make, you are also learning. You are, like you said, educating yourself. There are also times when a role is covered in so much negativity. Does an actor, sort of the occupational hazard of being an actor is that you put yourself in situations which are dangerous for you mentally?
Yes, yes, you do, because like I said, I learned that there is no good and evil. And evil is the situation. So I play this you have put it like a lady dawn variety in one of the films, Neetu Nanku Dash, where people talware lekar and just going around killing people. Where do you find the motivation for some this kind of a beyond real life kind of a larger than life kind of a character? There's no motivation for that. But the situation does become motivation. There are some people like that. In a garden, sometimes you see all yellow flowers and there's just one red, and there's no explanation for that. There's no explanation for why somebody suddenly becomes so negative, except for the environment. So yes, I have loved it. I have enjoyed it. In fact, I've enjoyed playing evil, sometimes being evil. It's good fun.
Lovely. So do tell us about this aspect, because the film stars or people who are in the acting profession, especially who are seen on camera, they occupy this position in society, like at the top of the pyramid. And now, especially when we are in the age of celebrity now, every celebrity is like worshipped and followed by people. What do you see it as? Is it a healthy obsession of society with celebrities, or there's a downside to it, or there is something that should like change?
So I was on this film set in a Malayalam film. The film is called Kaliyachan. And I had done like about 6 films in Telugu before that, before I did this Malayalam film. And the experience was so liberating because the kind of equality there was on set was beautiful. From the storyteller till the producer, everyone was sitting at the same table, having the same food, and having a good, happy lunch, a joyous lunch. There was no power play. The actor is not on the pedestal, and for all the right reasons, because an actor is just doing his job. If there's any glamour associated with it, it's because of the character's glamour, not a person. So, when we come into hero worship, heroic होना भी तो चाहिए उसकी. I mean, just playing a star would not make you heroic. But there are some acts done by really normal people in everyday life that need to be celebrated. And I think that's why social media is a great democratic and equalizing space for everyone, because small stories are coming to the fore and getting their own fame, heroism.
Yes. And also it's an equalizing place where stars also troll sometimes, because you know, someone doesn't like your role, or doesn't like your persona, or doesn't like you for behaving in a certain way with someone, then you get trolls.
And it's time we all take responsibility for where this world or this industry stardom is going. And it's the people who make the stars, it's the people who will equalize everything. So it's time for equal society.
Let's talk about the change that's come into the film industry. There's more sort of corporatization. Films producing the aspect of production has become very systematized if you compare it from 10 years ago. How well is it helping people? Because now we are at a place in time where there is AI. There was a big protest. Hollywood actors were protesting about the use of AI for taking up jobs. I mean, the fear of AI taking up jobs is across the board, but it's also there in the film industries. How do you think people in the industry are coping with it, especially in the example of the Indian film industry, which is one of the largest producers of films? Where do you see yourself? It's very interesting sort of inflection point in history. How do you interpret it as an actor?
Firstly, answering that question about corporates coming into the film industry, the idea of corporates coming into the film industry is slightly scary to me. But having said that, I think they have really put everything into structure. It's so amazing to get your script at least 10 days in advance before you go on the floor. You get some time to prepare, you get to understand your character. It gives everybody time to make it a collaborative effort. Until before that, scripts were given on set, sometimes these were evolving on sets, barring of course some exceptions. Mostly the industry was not structured. Now everything is, payments are structured. I mean, you get them on time sometimes. When you're at least working with the corporate, you know that your money is coming. They're not taking their money. I have worked on so many projects that the money hasn't come. So in that sense, it's a good place to move to.
But you also said it was scary. Why was it scary?
It's scary because do we even know how much of the world Reliance is taking over? Maybe I should not take names here, and yes, they have facilitators as well. But it's not just about one company. There can be so many more companies that take over, and it's not just here. For example, electricity. When private players come into picture, it's not public, and then it becomes expensive.
Yeah, monopolization starts happening.
It's the monopolization, and then art cannot be monopolized. Art needs freedom. Art can, yes, structure is good, but art needs to break structure. Art is an expression. So.
True. What about the coming of AI and the AI tools, like how are they able to impact the lives of actors?
Why are we not revolting? Why is the film world, why are journalists not revolting the advent of AI in India? There is a news anchor called Sana already in this world, and nobody is revolting. I don't know why. And we're not using our positions enough. I dubbed one film recently, and so dubbing process generally, if you do all scenes, it generally lasts like 4 to 5 days, 3-4 days at least. This time I went for the dub. I came back within 5 minutes because the AI had taken my voice sample and they dubbed all my dialogues after I was gone in 5 minutes because now AI is doing it.
So 5 minutes was for the sample taking.
For the sample taking. So AI is flawless, but who wants flawlessness? We want art, we want it to be flawed, and AI cannot do the flaw. And AI is gonna get us out of our jobs, guys. So that's the most important part, and I feel too strongly about it. And I do not know where this is going to come out. Generally, my reason
is there a body in the industry which sort of takes care of the interests of artists and actors who are whose jobs might be at a sort of threatening position in this one? Is there such a body in India in the industry that you have?
We do have a body, but I don't think it takes these important decisions. And these decisions, I think, are so much also at the government level. Whether it was 5G, whether it is AI, when it's starting to infest the country, it's important for the government to take some measures. And I understand that it's a global phenomenon, and if Bollywood could not do much, what will we? When we join hands together, there's nothing we can probably do. I mean, 5G is a health hazard. Look at the cancers that are increasing in the last 10 years with 4G and 5G. Cancer is supposed to be one of the big 5G and EMF, electromagnetic field, is supposed to be the biggest causes for cancer. And we're still doing nothing about it. So it's not just related to a body taking decisions, because the body becomes handicapped if the government is not getting it.
Right. Talk to us about your favorite role so far. I mean, what has been the most exciting, challenging, and you felt like, okay, Sivan, I'm so happy that I did this role because no one else would have done this role. It came to me, and I'm glad it came to me. Any particular role that you think that's about?
I've done a few characters, honestly, and I feel happy about each one of them. But there still is to come that one particular.
The best is yet to come.
Yes, the best is yet to come. I do feel fondly about my last character that I played, Yeshuvari, in Tirrtha Murbaadkar, because it was an iconic character, a lot more in real life than it was in the film. Because she played almost like a mother religious, even though she was just very Muslim, she had heroine. But for me, I just want to play
So on that note, we'll wind up here, and thank you so much, Tirrtha, for making time for us.